Good morning, Boker Tov. On behalf of Congregation Shir Hadash, I want to welcome you to our sanctuary as you celebrate your 5th grade milestone, chanting from the Torah. For those of you who don't know me, I am Cantor Devorah Felder-Levy. I have been the cantor here at Congregation Shir Hadash for 26 years. I have the pleasure every year of working with the 8th grade students on their milestone, which is learning to chant Esther trope, and then chanting from the Megillah at the Purim celebration. To all of you 5th graders, as you have been learning, chanting from the Torah is not an easy thing. First, you have to read and understand the Hebrew. Then you learn the trope marks and what melodies are associated with each trope mark. Then you learn to put the two pieces together, the Hebrew and the trope. And lastly, you learn it from the tikkun, the text without vowels or trope marks. And today, you will culminate it by chanting it from the Torah in front of all of your classmates and parents and friends and family. Learning to read from the Torah takes practice. Shir Hadash is pleased that we can help you mark this occasion in your Jewish education. Reading from the Torah takes place with community. As we know, the last few years being in community has been difficult. So we begin this morning with a song from the Psalms, reminding us how good it is to be together. Please join me. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Thank you, Cantor Felder-Levy, for hosting us today. It's truly wonderful to be able to be all together here at Congregation Shir Hadash. We appreciate all the ways that you have partnered with Yavna over the years. We are taught that the world stands on 3 things: Torah Service, acts of loving kindness, Torah Service and acts of loving kindness. By the end of this service, it will be evident that you, Kita Hey, embody all 3. This morning is an opportunity for our students to demonstrate their new chanting skills, as well as the development of their ability to analyze and interpret text, especially Torah. Your drashot are truly exceptional. Through their social justice projects, your children have demonstrated their dedication to acts of tzedakah, as well as their true care for the greater community. Last night, at a fundraiser for Jewish Family Services, a video was shown of Kita Hey singing One Day. In these tumultuous times, the lyrics are keenly relevant. All my life, I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more, there'll be no more war, and the children will play. More than these words is the way that they sang them. Your children will be the change makers, the ones who are able to think beyond themselves and make a difference in the world. While most of the credit goes to them, goes to you, Kita Hey, you were helped along the way. Thank you to Mr. Sleep and Mora Tammy, who supported you every step of the way. Thank you to Rabbi Shoshana O'Reiner, who both trained Mr. Sleep and worked with the students in helping them with their trope. Mora Vanina, who guided their integration into stop-motion videos, and to Maura Judy and Maura Julie, who inspired the creation of the Tali Tot. And of course, everything is better with music. Music brings out the spirituality, makes help with connection, and thank you, Lior, for sharing your gift with our students and with our community. And finally, I need to thank the parents, the room parents who helped make this happen, but all the parents for partnering with us, for trusting us to educate your children, and for working with us and your children each and every day. Rabbi Levenberg has helped guide this morning's service, and it's my honor to introduce her and tell us a little more about what to expect.
Hi, Boker Tov. So this morning, as Cindy said, you're going to see your students demonstrate amazing skills in their leadership and in their mastery of texts. And along the way, we've also gotten to see what amazing human beings they are becoming, and the way that they approached their study and the mastery of those skills is really a blessing for all of us as their teachers and as their parents. I have a couple of logistical things. If you have family members who are wanting to watch from wherever they are at home or abroad, they can just go to, it's being live streamed. Hi, live streamers. Thanks, Cantor, who wears many hats. The live stream is at shirhadash.org, and then in the corner you click live stream, and there we are. And as I said before, you're going to see your students excel. We are in the context of a prayer service, so we are going to restrain our urge to burst out into applause. When they say and do amazing things, we can respond with Yishar Koach, that may your strength continue. Sometimes I see the students doing silent spirit fingers, and afterward you're gonna hug and kiss them and tell them what an amazing job they did. It's such a sacred moment in time for us to be together as a community, so let's join together with Lior and all together in the blessing for sacred times, Shehechianu. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu b'zman hazeh Baruch Amen.
Today's milestone brings together so many different aspects of our integrated curriculum at Yavna. In addition to our Hebrew reading and Torah chanting skills, we engaged in the traditional Jewish practice of Chavruta. Chavruta is a group Torah study. It is useful because you get a different opinion on what you are studying. For instance, one assignment asked us to use clues to find out how Abraham went from Haran to Canaan. I thought he went one way, but my partner thought he went another way. We then used our third partner, the text, to come to an agreement of where he went.
Arts and music are another way that we express ourselves. With Lior, we have been learning how to play instruments and make music together. In fact, we will be sharing the medley we have been working on with you today. And in art, we worked with Maura Judy and Julie on crafting our own individual yad, or Torah pointer. Making our own talitot and learning to tie the tzitzit involved both art and math.
Something special about Yavna is Mora Vanina's Jewish approach to STEAM. Even though the Torah has been around for thousands of years, we can always use its teachings to create something new that reflects our own personalities and ideas. She taught us how to make stop animation videos, which we will watch right after the service.
This year, our class also completed community service projects in Jewish studies. Service projects are when our entire class or small groups does a project to help a certain community of our choosing. For our first service project, our entire class decided to help an animal shelter called Humane Society. We put a box in the lobby for people to put in toys for dogs and donated the toys. This relates to Parshat Bahar because in Bahar it talks about how you should help people who need help. Our service projects fit well with this theme of helping people because that's what the projects are all about.
So this is one where Lisa just talked, like that.
This year, we made our first talitots. In the process, we tied tzitzit, or the fringes. If you are Ashkenazi, that means you will do a pattern of knots and twists like this. Double knot, 7 twists, double knot, 8 twists, double knot, 11 twists, double knot, 13 twists, and double knot. If you are Sephardic, this is your pattern of twists. 10, 5, 6, 5. We also got to design our talitot the way we wanted.
On each corner of the talit, there is a tzitzit. Tzitzit, or fringes, are there to remind all the people that wear a talit of the commandments in the Torah. In Deuteronomy, it says, "You shall make tassels on the 4 corners of the garment with which you cover yourself." In my experience of crafting my talit, it was stressful at times, especially in the beginning. However, over time, it became easier and easier. After all the tzitzit were complete, the fun part came. This step is when you design your talit how you want. As you see here today, all of my classmates' talitot are different from one another, each unique in its own way.
And now we say the blessing before putting on the tzitzit, the talit. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להתעטף בציצית.
Amen.
Instead of doing a full morning service, we will have just a taste of shacharit. In between each prayer, we will share excerpts from our drashot, our interpretations of the Torah.
As you likely already know, our parsha this year is known as Parshat Behar. In all of our portions, you will hear that the entire parsha is about laws, mostly pertaining to the 50th year Jubilee. In the Jubilee, God says that when you enter the land that I assign you, you will observe a Sabbath of Adonai. But there is a lot more in Behar, including pasukim that relate to slavery and the rights of the worker.
This year, we were given 3 options for how we could drash. 1, we could talk about how God's commands in Bahar empowered the disempowered and relate it to what we have learned about slavery in the United States. 2, we could explain why the land would require a Sabbath as God commands in Bahar. 3, or we could write a poem based off of the themes of Bahar, specifically the theme of resting. We will hear everyone's drashot, but first, let's start with the blessing for studying Torah.
Bahar, God makes a law saying, if your kin, being in straits, come under your authority and are held by you as though resident aliens, let them live by your side. How is this a law that helps lift up people in the lowest rank of society to the higher ranks? Well, it all originates in what God is really saying. God is actually saying that if your friends or family are in danger, even if they are foreigners to you, take them in and shelter them under your wing. This means that if you would normally not consider them as part of your kin, allow them to actually be part and treat them equally. I'm sure that when God is communicating this law, they foresee that, hopefully, in the long term, the people will eventually make out even enslaved people and foreigners as equals.
I will be talking about what laws from Bahar would help the enslaved people who once lived in the United States. On line 39 it says, "Do not subject your kin to the treatment of a slave." Enslaved people slept on the ground or in uncomfortable places, but this law would allow them to sleep on beds or rest. Bahar also says that the enslaved people can be hired, which would mean they were getting paid. Getting paid would help the enslaved people in many ways. If they were not given the proper food, they could go buy food and other resources. These are some ways in which enslaved people could be helped by the laws in Bahar.
When God created the Jubilee year, I think that it was for the people that lost what they created. I think that God wanted the original owner to see their own property because he or she wanted to give them power. Some people might ask, how would this give somebody power? Well, I believe this gives somebody power because the person gets to see what he or she started. When you start something that becomes big, sometimes you don't see what it becomes. The Jubilee year is when God made the decision to show the original owners their creations and where they went.
Some people are surprised to hear that God does not decry slavery in Bahar. However, God makes some rules that could help enslaved people. One good rule is that God said in the Torah, you should not rule over them ruthlessly. You should fear your God. God also says that you should take care of your kinsmen. But for me, kinsmen does not just mean just one person or just your family members. It means your whole country or people who share of your faith. Enslaved people and slave owners live in the same country and often practice the same religion. There's no reason why anyone should treat someone else as a slave.
This is an excerpt from my poem, 50 Years. God says we could take a break in 50 years. It will not pass soon, even for the land. We work all day, even after the sun has set. Laboring is hard, but worth it. When we finish working, we get rewarded with many different kinds of food. The juicy, ripe fruits from the tall tree taste amazing. After 50 years have passed, the time has come to take a break. The land can also have a break needed for the weary. We let the earth relax. A large and silent meadow. The only sound you hear is the rustling of leaves. Everyone needs the rest. All we could do right now is wait.
Parshat Bahar is about a Sabbath, which is a day of rest. In Bahar, it says, when you enter the land that I assign to you, the land shall observe a Sabbath of God. But instead of having a day of rest, it's a year of rest, every 7 years. Everyone stops and rests, including no working or farming. You also have to give the land to the original owner, which is very helpful so everyone can have a piece of land at some point in time. In Bahar, it says, but in the 7th year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest, a Sabbath of God. You should not sow your field or prune your vineyard. Not only will you have a year of rest, but the land will have rest as well.
But after all of that, there's still one bigger and better lesson here. Have you ever gone hiking with your family, and the hiking trail was so long and hard, but you kept on going because you knew at the end the sight would make it all worth it? Well, if we kept on building houses and factories, and you took that hike again, it would not look the same at all. It would smell horrible. All you would see are the gases and smoke coming out of the factories, and then the hike would have been all for nothing. This means that the bigger lesson here is to just simply help the earth in any way you can, whether it's by using green cars or just simply biking or walking to school instead of driving. All these ways can help, and so can you.
I think that God wants us to let our land rest every 7 years because, first of all, if everyone keeps on working nonstop, they are going to outwork themselves. They will be more tired, and they won't have time for yourself. Then they won't work as well as they used to work. As a result, they might fall asleep when they're working. You will get less crops, and less crops means less food. Less food means that you will starve. If they outwork themselves, then in most cases they will overwork the land. By overworking the land, they will produce less crops, but by letting the land rest every 7 years, the land and people could benefit.
This is an excerpt from my poem, We Should Be Grateful. Resting after work, like drinking water after being parched, like having a celebration after a sad occasion. If we rest always, it can feel as though we have a weight lifted. It can feel as though there's a new weight. When God said, it shall be a year of complete rest for the land, some were happy and smiled in joy, some were mad and rioted with anger. If we didn't rest, nobody would be able to work without falling, and nobody would be able to breathe enough. So we should rest, maybe for a few minutes, and maybe for a day.
The land, what has it done for us? Everything. The land is why we are here. The land, what can it produce? Apples, oranges, and grapefruit. In a big field of wheat or a field of snow, no matter where it happens, it grows. The land, can it talk? No, but it lets us walk. On a street or a pile of dirt, no matter where it is, we won't get hurt. The land, does it have leaves? Yes, they grow on trees, which help us breathe. In and out from our lungs, wherever you are, the air will touch your tongue. The land, what can it be? Grass, dirt, and maybe even leaves. For shade and to have a friend, trees say you can be with them. The land, what does it do? It makes you, you. we let the land rest, then you'll appreciate it more. Right now in the world we live in, we face the problem of global warming, which tells us that we need to appreciate the land more. We are throwing trash everywhere and putting chemicals in the ocean and into our land. If we had a Sabbath, it could help the world with global warming. This could be good for us because we need it.
We need to enforce this ethic of respecting the land in the world we live in now. Most factory farms overwork their land constantly. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. yield of corn is estimated at 849 pounds per acre. That is a lot of corn being grown using synthetic petroleum-based fertilizer instead of growing less and allowing the land. Can you imagine what will happen in 50 years? The land needs rest. If the land is allowed to rest, it will be able to grow plants for longer. The values of Shemitah, or letting the land rest, must be used to improve the world in which we live in. In conclusion, Parshat Bahar is full of teachings that, if applied to our lives, can help us care for the earth.
If we gave the land an entire year of rest, a lot of things would change. There would be less pollution in the world because we would leave the land alone, and trash wouldn't get thrown in the ocean. It would also help with the drought because the rain would cycle without us taking more water than we already have, so we would save our water. Giving the earth a rest would also impact deforestation and extinction because as trees get chopped down, we also demolish animals' homes. We can try helping by 1. Not chopping down too many trees, 2. Take only how much food/water you need. Remember, the land is the ground you walk on. The food you eat grows on trees and bushes, and the earth is our loving home.
Rest. The land needs rest. In the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath. We shall not pick the fruit from the trees or the grapes from the vines. We do this because God has requested it. Rest. The land needs rest. In the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath. We listen to what God said. We do not pick the fruit or the grapes. The land shall rest. We should rest. We're not superior to the land. We're not superior to the world. We may take the fruit and the vegetables when they fall. When they plunge to the ground, we give the land a rest. We let nature be itself.
Instructions, instructions. The farmers must have a rest. Instructions, instructions. The land deserves a break. Instructions, instructions. Maybe rough times will turn good. It's been a while. This break has been silent. Human beings have spent their whole lives working, so working is all people have done. Grass is growing and sleeping. The trees' leaves are falling. Plants are still growing. Trees are blossoming. Times are more peaceful nowadays. Trees are sitting still. Branches have not been blowing in the winter breeze. Land can be overworked by people. People can overwork themselves. But you still need to work. That's why nobody gets a break forever.
Shalom
I think that God decides to give the land a Sabbath because he understands what it's like to work without a break. When God was creating the world in 6 days, he created a Sabbath so that he could take some time to relax on the seventh day. I argue that if God thought that he and humans deserve a break, so should the land. Also, if the land is worked too hard, it could stop producing what the people who use it need. For example, if you were to pick every single grape on the vine in one day, it would take a long time for the vine to grow more grapes. If you gave the vines 1 year to grow back more grapes, they would satisfy you with what you want. This is why by giving the land a Sabbath, the people who use the land for produce would also benefit.
Parshat Bahar emphasizes the need to consider the land as not just land. Rather, we need to think of it as less land for us to use and more as an entity of its own. We need to give the land a rest every once in a while because, just like a person, the land should not be overworked. The Torah portion states, "But on the seventh year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest," Parshat Bahar, verse 4. This means that every 7 years you cannot farm your land. You can also not pick fruit from your land. Instead, you can eat the parts that the plant drops onto the ground. In the 50th year, you return all the land you have purchased back to its original owner. According to Bahar, the 50th year is also a jubilee and time of celebration. You may be wondering, how will I eat in the 7th year? God explains that I will ordain my blessing for you in the 6th year so that it shall yield a crop sufficient for 3 years. The concept that God can make a plant's growth of 1 year sustain multiple years is fascinating to me. If you take something, grow it correctly, then it'll last longer.
The land is also like a human being. If the land doesn't have a Sabbath, then the land will die. Just like if people never take a break, then they will get so tired they will stop working. So the bigger lesson here is that not only humans need breaks, it's also the plants that need to rest. The quote is, "In the 7th year, the land shall have a Sabbath of complete rest." When the year is done, everybody, including the land, will start working again until another 7 years.
The bigger lesson in this parasha is that we must respect the land because it is a living thing. It gets tired like us, it works like us. It gives fruit like us. Having to work every day, every year is tiring, and then nobody gives you a rest. It's like nobody noticing that you're doing all the work. We should thank the land by giving it a rest from everything we do, by just letting it grow by itself.
This is an excerpt from my poem, Rest for the Weary. People in the fields, people all across the world, everyone needs help. You may not know it, but the earth has feelings too. Give the earth a rest. Every 7 years, we will give the land a rest, and you shall not plant. Whether you look up or down, north or west, east or south, you cannot deny the truth. Everything, everyone needs a Shabbat of rest, a rest for the weary.
Trope refers to the marks used to help us chant the words in the Torah. We learn trope in many phases. This year, we practiced our trope skills so that we could be here chanting Torah for you today. It was a challenging experience, but it was extremely satisfying once we got the hang of it. Trope is essentially the melody that is used to emphasize the meaning of words. It was also fun to learn trope. We worked on it for a very long time, and we were all in the journey together. I think that we all feel proud that we're so close to completing the goal that we've had since the beginning of our trope learning experience.
Now we will continue with our Torah service. We have learned to fulfill all the various rules necessary for the Torah service movement, and we are excited to lead you today. Please rise as we open the Aron HaKodesh.
Moshe,
this one and set it forth. Good. Now the Shabbat. Go ahead. Good.
Our portion.
Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Go ahead.
Our portion, Parshat Behar, is in Vayikra, Leviticus, from chapter 25. Our portion, Parshat Behar, is in Vayikra, Leviticus, from chapter 25:1 to chapter 26:2. The full text is in the program Hebrew and English.
ותגלה ותראה מלכותו עלינו בזמן קרוב, ויחון פליטתנו ופליטת עמו בית ישראל, לכנו לחסד ורחמים ורצון ונאמר. הכל אבו גודל אלוהינו ותנו כבוד לתורה, יעמדו ארז בן מרב וירון ואליסה בת אלון ויונתן אלי הראשונה. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
ואתם הדביקים באדוני אלוהיכם, חיים כולכם היום.
ואתם הדביקים באדוני אלוהיכם, חיים כולכם היום.
That's right. You got it. Just touch right there. Perfect. All right, now you guys are going to do the Torah blessing.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Can I actually have the two of you come over here by me? That will give them space. And Juan, come a little closer so that you can reach to hold the Torah open. Very nice. Yeah, perfect. There, go ahead.
וידבר אדוני, וידבר אדוני על משה בהר סיני לאמור. דבר על בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, כי תבואו אל הארץ אשר אני נותן לכם, ושבת הארץ. שבת לאדוני. 6 שנים תזרע את שדך, ו6 שנים תזמור כרמך, ואספת את תבואתה.
ובשנה השביעית שבת שבתון יהיה לארץ, שבת אדוני שדך לא תזרע וחמך לא תזמור, את ספיח קטילך לא תגזור, ואת ענבי נזירך לא תבצור, שנת שבתון יהיה לארץ. והייתה שבת הארץ לכם לאוכלה לך ולעבדך ולאמתך ולזכרך ולתושבך הגרים עמך ולבהמתך ולחיה אשר בארצך תהיה כל תבואתה לאכול.
וספרת לך 7 שבתות שנים, 7 שנים, 7 פעמים, וחיו לך ימי 7 שבתות השנים, 49 שנה, וחברת שופר תרועה בחודש השביעי, בעשור לחודש, ביום הכיפורים, תעברו שופר בכל ארציהם.
וקידשתם את שנת 50 שנה, וקראתם דרור בארץ וכל יושביה, יובל היא תהיה להם, ושבתם איש על אחוזתו, ואיש על משפחתו תשובו, יובל היא שנת 50 שנה תהיה להם, לא תזרעו ולא תקצרו את צפיה, ולא תקצרו את נזיריה.
כי יובל היא קודש תהיה לכם, מן השדה תאכלו את תבואתה. בשנת היובל הזאת תשובו איש על אחוזתו, וכי תמכרו ממכר לעמיתך, או קנו מיד עמיתך, אל תענו איש את אחיו. במספר שנים אחר היובל תקנה את עמיתך, במספר שני תבואות ימכר לך.
לפי רב השנים תרבה מקנתו, ולפי מאות השנים תמעיט מקנתו, כי מספר תבואות הוא מוכר לך, ולתונו איש את עמיתו, וירית מאלוהיך, כי אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
ועשיתם את חוקותי ואת משפטי תשמרו, ועשיתם אותם, וישבתם על הארץ לבטח, ונתנה הארץ פריה, ואכלתם לשובע, וישבתם לבטח עליה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורה אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher koach to all of you. All right, yasher koach. Yasher koach.
יעמדו ירדן.
Come over here.
יעמדו ירדן בן לימור ונרי וזיסה בת סטפני ניל עלייה השנייה.
All right, Yarden and Izzy, come over here. Here, you will come up right here. You can put me right here. All right. Good stuff. You guys come here. And for readers, come up here. Could we have our second group of Torah readers come up? Just a second. Okay, to show that where they are in the lessons.
Yeah, but just doesn't come up afterwards.
No, it's okay.
That's what they did one
time. They're going to show you where they are. Okay. Right? You're going to point for Izzy or for... Okay. Timkaru? No, Tomru. Oh, Viki Tomru Manucha. Okay, so Izzy, you can go over here, Talit, and touch here. Touch right where leg is pointing. Viki Tomru. Where is it? I lost it.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach, Baruch
Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן.
וכי תאמרו מה נאכל בשנה השביעית, הן לא נזרע ולא נאסוף את תבואתנו, וציוויתי את ברכתי לכם בשנה השישית, ועשת את התבואה לשלוש השנים, וזרעתם את השנה השמינית, ואכלתם מן התבואה ישן עד השנה התשיעית, עד בוא תבואתה תאכלו ישן.
יישר כוח.
יישר כוח.
והארץ לא תימכר לצמיתות, כי לי הארץ, כי גרים ותושבים אתם עמדי, ובכל ארץ אחוזתכם גאולה תינו לארץ, כי ימוך אחיך ומכר מאחוזתו, ובא גואלו הקרוב אליו, וגאל את ממכר אחיו, ואיש כי לא יהיה לו גואל, והשיגה ידו ומצא כדי גאולתו.
יישר כוח. וחשב את שני ממכרו, והשיב את העודף לאיש אשר נקלו, ושב לעוזתו. יישר כוח. ואיש כי ימכור בית מושב עיר חומה, והייתה גאולתו עד תום שנת ממכרו, ימים תהיה גאולתו. ואם לא יגאל עד מלאות לו שנה תמימה, וקם הבית אשר בעיר אשר לא חומה לצמיתות, לקונה אותו לדורותיו, לא יצא ביובל. ובתי החצרים אשר אין להם חומה סביב, על שדה הארץ יחשב, גאולה תהיה לו, וביובל יצא.
והרבה הלוויים בתי ערי אחוזתם, גאולת עולם תהיה לווים, ואשר יגאל ממכר לווים, ויצא ממכר בית, ויהיה אחוזתו בבל, כי בתי ערי הלוויים היא אחוזתם בתור בני ישראל, ושדה מגרש עריכם לא ימכר, כי יעוזות עולם הוא להם.
יישר כוח.
והיא עמוך היה ומטה ידו עמך, והחזקת בו גר ותושב והי עמך. אל תיקח מאיתו מחשבת רביד, ורדע מאלוהיה, והיה היא האמת.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher koach to all of you. If you are one of the third readers, you can stay up here. So you're going to come over here, Shihad. All right, go ahead.
יעמדו הדס בת יוליה ובוריס, בכר בת יפה ומיכאל ויעקב, יששכר בן זהבה ודוד, עלייה השלישית.
If you're one of our third group of Torah readers, so Eres, Ari, Elisa, Izzy, Lior, Juan, and Ella, you guys are up. So you guys are going to come and coach.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
את כספך לא תיתן לו בנשך ובמגביל לא תיתן אוכלך. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים לתת לכם את ארץ כנען להיות לכם לאלוהים. וכי ימוך אחיך עמך ונמכר לך לא תעבוד בו עבודת עבד.
עכשיו יהיה עמך עד שנת היובל יעבוד עמך ויצא מעמך הוא ובניו עמו ושב אל משפחתו ואל אחוזת אבותיו ישוב כי עבדי הם אשר הוצאתי אותם מארץ מצרים. לא ימכרו ממך את עבד לא תרדבו בפרך יראת מאלוהיך.
ועבדך ואמתך אשר יחיו לך מאת הגויים אשר סביבותיכם מהם תקנו עבד ואמה וגם מבני התושבים הגרים עמכם מהם תקנו וממשפחתם אשר עמכם אשר הולידו בארצכם והיו לכם לאחוזה והנחלתם אותם לבניכם אחריכם לרשת אחוזה לעולם בהם תעבודו ובאחיכם בני ישראל איש באחיו לא תרדבו בפרך.
Unroll a little bit so you can get next. We're going to start at the bottom and we'll go up to the next column. Exactly. There you go. You hold it. Okay, go ahead.
וכי תשיק יד גר ותושב עמך ומך אחייך עמו ונמכר לגר תושב עמך או לעקר משפחת גר אחרי נמכר גרה תהיה לו אחד מאחיו
יגאלנו. או עדה, או בן דודה, יגאלנו. או מזרע בשלום, ממשפחתה יגאלנו. או השיקה ידע וניגאל.
יישר כוח.
וכי שב עם קונהו משנת ימחו לו עד שנת היובל, והיה כסף ממקורו במספר שנים, כימי שכיר יהיה עמו עם עוד רבות בשנים, לפיהן ישיב גאולתו מכסף מקנתו, ומעט נשאר בשנים עד שנת היובל, וחישב לו כפי שניו, ישיב את גאולתו כשכיר שנה בשנה, יהיה עמו לא ירדנו בפרך לעיניך.
יישר כוח.
ואם לא יגאל בעילה, ויצא בשנת היובל הוא ובנן אמו, כי לי בני ישראל עבדים עבדי הם, אשר הוצאתי אותם מארץ מצרים, אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
יישר כוח.
לא תעשו לכם אלילים, ופסלו מתיבה, לא תקימו לכם, ואבן משכית. לא תיתנו בארצכם נשכחבות אליה, כי אני אדוני אלוהיכם. את שבתותיי תשמרו ומקדשי תיראו, אני אדוני.
יישר כוח.
יישר כוח.
All right, so you can take this and you can step back. So you're going to touch over here. Touch over here, and then you'll recite the closing blessing. Okay. Just one of you. Okay. Now we close. And now 1, 2, 3.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו חיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher koach to all of you. All right, it is and Max. It's the two of you.
The Torah is
You're
called...
come a little closer and talk right into the microphone.
The Torah is called our Etz Chaim, the tree of life. It brings us life and strength. During the Torah service, we offer blessings for different people, both happy occasions like weddings and B'nai Mitzvah, as well as for difficult and dangerous times like long journeys.
We are going to sing a Misha Berach for people who are sick, wishing them a full and speedy recovery. If you would like, you can say the name of someone you are praying for, either out loud or quietly.
May the source of strength who bless the works before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and lesson. Amen. We shall
We now prepare to return the Torah to the Ark. The Magbia will lift the Torah scroll so the whole community can see the words that we just read.
Ya'amod Eliyahu Raphael ben Harav Shmuel el Rachel v'Harav Pinchas HaMagbiya Ta'amod Ela bat Alisa v'Shai HaGolelet.
Let's rise as the Torah is lifted. Yeah, that will be the truth. Okay, so you unroll it first. It's nice and tight. Right. Okay, now remember you slide it over. Good. Slide it down. Good. You got it.
Tree of life, tree of life. It's finding me now, Hazikina. Tree of life, tree of life. It's the tree of life. Hold it tight, all see shimmer tight. Advance and shaking, you'll be happy, happy la la, happy la 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 la, happy la la. Happy la 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 la, happy la la, happy la la la.
Okay, you did perfectly. You guys can go sit down. Happy la 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 la. Tree of life.
Please be seated.
All right, you're done, Leo. One of the most important parts. That's what you're reading. Go ahead. Yeah.
One of the most important parts of being a community is being there for each other. We celebrate together and we also support each other. When someone loses a friend or family member, we show up for them.
The mourners' Kaddish is one example of this. The mourners have their part and the community answers back, Amen. We're faithful, we answer, we're here.
If you are in mourning or you are observing a yahrzeit or it is your custom, please rise as we recite Kaddish Yatom. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabah. Ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'zman kariv. Yimru. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shemei d'kudashah brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shir ata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'yimru. Yehei shlama rabba min shemai v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. Amen. Let's be seated. So I would like to take a few moments for us to be able to acknowledge those in our community. I know that Mr. Sleep and Mora Tammy would like to come up and say a couple words.
Well, it's very nice to get to lean back in my chair and watch you all impress us. I have gotten very used to it by now. I think your droshes speak powerfully to how much you've grown this year and how impressive you are as ethical human beings and members of the Jewish community. As the students so beautifully explained in their drashot, Parshat Bahar takes place on the Mount, where God instructs Moses on a number of matters. I thought it would be fitting, while I'm up here with Mora Tammy, to tell a little story of an experience that we all shared together on a mount. I am sure you all remember Thursday, April 7th, or as it is more famously known, the unexpected final day of the journey. That morning, we woke up early, scarfed down breakfast, and assembled in our trail groups. The challenge was a formidable one, a 6.5-mile hike up and down a hill on the hottest day of that week. I thought you were going to give me the cane there. There was a palpable nervousness in the air. For many, this would be the longest trek that they had ever done. With bags packed and water bottles filled, we took off. The journey upward was not easy. Knees were sore from the climb and shaky from the heights, especially me. When that incredible moment of summiting the mountain finally came, we sat down and caught our breath. We had an eagle's eye view that engulfed the Marin headlands, San Francisco, Oakland, and the Pacific Ocean stretching into and beyond the horizon. But that moment of exaltation did not last long. With the reception on top of the mountain, my phone pinged and a new email arrived in my inbox. Due to COVID, the trip has been cut short. Parents immediately headed on their way to pick you all up. Thank you, by the way. And where were we? On top of a mountain with miles to go before we reached the bottom. Now, these kids will tell you that that was not an easy journey down. It is true. And with the disappointment of another canceled field trip looming in the background, there wasn't much jubilation as we set off down the hill. Yet, it is when we meet our greatest challenge that we discover our finest qualities. It is not a secret, you guys. Your finest quality is your compassion, your empathy for others, knowing how to be we people when it seems so much easier at times to be a me person. People sitting here, if you don't believe me, let me ask you this. Would any class run their own donation drive for animal shelters, then 5 subsequent drives for different causes? Would any class throw an absentee birthday party for our facility's guardian angel on hell? Would any class, while filing into the classroom, sound off one by one, "Thank you, Mr. Doorstop, I appreciate you"? Only you would consider the land an entity of its own. Only you would consider the doorstop a valuable member of our classroom that we cannot function without. You guys do that because your satisfaction comes from seeing others satisfied. And when someone is down, you will not stop until you lift them back up. So, as we came down that incredibly hot mountain, tired, sweaty, and exhausted, it might surprise you. There were ululating voices of encouragement that rang out from the mountainside. You got this. Let me fill your water bottle. I'll stick beside you. And I won't name names, but my personal favorite, I hate this hike, but at least I have my friends here to hate it with me. None of you quit that day. None of you let each other quit. And when we return to camp, who doesn't remember that first cold burst of water from the drinking fountain? You were weary, and that moment was your jubilee. You guys have been through literally everything together, and through it all, you continue to impress us with your determination towards friendship and your insistence on being good. There is no group like you. There is no one like you. But for all I've said about how much you've become we people, with only 3 weeks left of school, I hope you get a little me time over the summer. Take care of yourselves and continue to climb the mountain of growing up, scary as it may be, for your jubilee and middle school is lying just around the corner. I'm going to turn the mic over to our Hebrew immersion co-teacher, Mora Tammy. I hope you can use this microphone better than me.
אוקיי. אני אדבר קצת. הורים, משפחות, חברים, תלמידים יקרים, אני מאוד נרגשת לעמוד פה היום, לראות כמה גדלתם והתבגרתם מתחילת השנה, העבודה הקשה שלכם, המסירות, הנחישות שבאו לידי ביטוי היום במיילסטון, מיילסטון ציון דרך בעברית, ציון דרך מיילסטון, אז זהו, תמשיכו ככה, כל הכבוד ויישר כוח.
We're going to do a very quick, first of all, let's hear a big Yasher Koach for the class of 2025. Before I call up our next speaker, I want to take a moment of gratitude. Mora Tammy and I want to thank all the incredible parents and parent volunteers that helped us today. I'm going to name a lot of names. There are more names, and I hope I'm not missing any, but if I am, you know I'm talking about you when I say this could not have happened without you. Thank you, Marcy Gordon. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Aaron G. Thank you, Aaron O. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you, Shoshana O'Reiner. If I am your trope master, Shoshana O'Reiner is your trope grandmaster. She taught me everything. Thank you to all your wonderful parents, wonderful guardians who made you possible. Students, let's give them a big Yasher Koach, please. You shall have strength. It gives me great pleasure to welcome up here our wonderful room parent and ambassador for our class. Please welcome Marcy, everyone.
First of all, Kita Hey. Wow. Wow, you guys were amazing. Absolutely amazing. Truly, what an incredible accomplishment for all of you. You created an incredibly meaningful service. You embraced your learning of Torah and Judaism. You committed yourselves to learning and preparing a lot for today. There was a lot, wasn't there? And you made us all extremely proud. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we are truly blown away by you. This is a really special class. Mr. Sleep just spoke to that. This class of 2025, believe it or not. Many of these kids and many of us families have been together since gone, and others have joined us in the years since and joined this class, this Yavna family. And together as a community, we have watched these students grow and develop and mature. These kids have always been engaged, passionate about learning and committed to doing good, as you just heard from Mr. Sleep. And they support each other, like he just said, whether they're hiking up a mountain or trying to remember their lines for a ceremony. Their accomplishments are not just about what they learned and how they created and led this beautiful service today, but in how they treat each other and serve as role models for others to follow. And the fact that we can all come together to celebrate these students and their accomplishments and support them as a community, well, this today, that's what it's all about. This is the Yavna secret sauce right here. And there is another part of the secret sauce, and that is our amazing, incredible, incomparable teachers. These teachers are committed to making a difference, passionate about supporting the kids as they grow and learn and sometimes stumble. They go above and beyond, helping the students to foster their individuality and their depth of learning. Teachers, we are so grateful for your nurturing, your care, and the love that you provide. And so we as parents want to thank our teachers. I know Cindy gave thanks in the morning, earlier, but really who helped prepare this milestone. And I think Erin has a little token of our appreciation, which is just a small token, but to show how much we are grateful to you. First, there are some who aren't here today, but I do at least want to publicly acknowledge Maura Jamie, our Jewish studies teacher extraordinaire, who helped these students prepare their Torah portions. And Maura Judy and Maura Julie, who guided the work on the beautiful yad that each student made that I can't wait to see up close when we're all done. And for those who are here, let's start with Lior. Where did he go? There he is, Lior. How lucky are we to have the talent and passion of our incredible music director. We saw the results of this today, and I think we're going to see it again in a few minutes. So thank you, Lior. Mora Vanina. This is a sneak peek. You see the screens up. You'll see in a minute what Mora Vanina did with our children in preparation for today. But like everything Mora Vanina does, it was spectacular. And while not on the faculty, Rabbi Shoshana O'Reiner, as Mr. Sleep said, thank you for helping our children learn their trope and for even holding office hours. We are very grateful. Mora Tammy, thank you. Thank you for helping the students prepare for today, learning their Hebrew, and for your commitment to the class throughout the year. Rabbi Levenberg, hiding behind the screen. Rabbi Levenberg, you jumped in this year. Okay, yes, and helped guide and lead this very meaningful experience for our students. They will remember reading Torah for the first time, and they will remember doing it with their Yavna classmates. So thank you. Mr. Sleep, where do I begin? Your passion for teaching, your focus on developing these kids, not just as students, but as human beings, the tremendous amount of time and effort that you put into making this milestone, their last Yavna milestone, an experience they will always remember. You inspire these kids. And I just have to share, last night, Jacob was saying how he wanted to start his own community service project because, as he said, Mr. Sleep inspired me to want to do more. That is the tremendous impact that you have on these students, so thank you. I also want a few quick thanks, Cindy and Doug, for their support with today's milestone, Stephanie for being our photog, and I do need to give a special thanks in particular to Lauren and to Erin Goncharoff, who were instrumental in planning today's event. So when you see them out there, please thank them. And we have to say thank you to Shir Hadash. They've been a wonderful partner in planning for this and graciously allowed us to use their space, and we are very grateful. But this really takes a village. Parents, everyone, you all contributed in so many ways, whether it was working with your student on their talit or listening to them practicing Torah, contributing items or funds for today's picnic, volunteering to schlep things, which a number of you did. Again, this is our community coming together. Before I turn it over to Mora Vanina, I have just a few logistical items. So everybody listen up. Kita Hey, starting with you. All of you. In a few minutes when I'm done, while Maura Vanina comes up, we're going to ask you to go sit with your families for the video portion of this program. When that part's done, you're going to come back up here for the final song, okay? Immediately after we finish the program, please stay here. We're going to get, I know we all took a picture out there, a group picture, but you all have your kippot, your talit. We want you here on the bima to take a final picture, and we also have a little treat for each of you, which we'll give to you when you're up here to make sure you get up here. Families, you may want to take a picture with your students. You may want to do it, we were talking about in front of the bima, or in front of the ark, around HaKodesh, excuse me. And we can help make that happen. We're just going to ask everybody to cycle through quickly, and Stephanie has graciously agreed to take those family pictures for anybody who wants them. We will be sending out a link to a shared photo site. We'll get all of Stephanie's photos up there. I invite all of you, if you are willing and comfortable, to share them with each other and with Yavna to upload your pictures as well. Following all this picture taking, I invite everyone outside for a picnic to celebrate these kids. If you haven't already done so, you can put your contributions on the tables, and you may want to go to your cars to get any blankets or lawn chairs. We're going to have limited seating, so you may want to get those. And then finally, at the end of the picnic, we could use some help tearing down and cleaning up, so if you have a few spare minutes, we'd love to have some help. Okay, now I'd like to invite Maura Vanina up to introduce the next segment, and while she's coming up, Kita, hey, yeah, am I doing this correctly? Wait, I'm not, oh, whoop.
While we're into thanking, I don't want to be remiss in thanking our room parents. So on behalf of the YPA, I want to make sure that we get the room parents and the people that really are to be thanked for today's event. So Marcy, Helen, I know you don't like to be in front of anybody, but you're going to come up today. So Helen, if you could kindly come up, and Aaron, please come up. So I would like to thank you guys, and it's just a small token on behalf of the YPA.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It takes a village, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Okay.